It is now my pleasure to introduce the next storyteller who says this about their favorite Jewish food. Why do I like knishes? They have two of my favorite ingredients, potatoes and dough. Reading his story, Sundays with Dad, please welcome Hugh Gitlin.
My dad was in the rock business. His main job was a jeweler. He spent his jewelry career at many stores, but his other job was owner of the Aaron Monument Company. So basically, he would sell a couple their engagement ring, and then sell them their parents' tombstones. On Jewish tombstones, there are symbols and Hebrew letters that most granite companies don't know how to do. So we have to take pictures and rubbings of the stones so they can put the right writing on the stone. So my dad thought, in his infinite wisdom, I have a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, so I have free labor. So he started taking us, me and my sister, to the cemeteries on Sunday mornings. We had 3 basic jobs. One was holding the paper over the tombstone for the rubbing, and then shaping the cheesecloth on the stones for the unveilings, and carrying all the supplies. I love doing the cheesecloth. It was great because I got to use tape and tape stuff in. You know, a 10-year-old and easily pleased. My dad, he's a planner. He was a planner. He would pack the car with the supplies and plan the route with the precision of a UPS driver. And off we would go. When going to Minneapolis, we'd go to the farthest cemetery first, like Opon Winnetka, and make our way down to Minneapolis Jewish over on 69th and Half in Penn. But when we went to St. Paul, we'd go to the closest cemetery first and go all the way out to the east side before coming home. It took a while for me to figure out, but finally I figured it out. The last cemetery was always the closest to where we'd go to breakfast. In Minneapolis, we'd go to Denny's over on 66th and Penn, but in St. Paul, we would go to Serlin's. You know, we like Serlin's because it was family owned, basically my cousins. And you had great home-style food. And it was great to listen to the East Siders with that funny Minnesota accent. That was the Minnesota accent, the East Side. I spent a couple years carrying the stuff and just carrying it and holding the paper on the stones until one day my dad held this butcher paper on the stone and handed me this thing that looked like a hockey puck with a side flattened. He said, "Take the rubbing." And I had this hockey puck with the side flattened, and I turned it like that and colored like I didn't have to see in the lines. I go, "This is cool." And all of a sudden, you could see the impression of the letters and the symbols all of a sudden come onto that paper like magic. It was great. I made a perfect impression of that stone, and I was proud of myself. You know, and in the tombstone business, you get to learn things like different kinds of granite. So here are this is a little side, here are my top 5 granites. Number 1, blue pearl. Number 2 is Odessa. I love that one. Number 3, mahogany. Number 4, Wausau red. And number 5, St. Cloud gray. Now after doing rubbings for a couple months, came the big day. Finally got to take a picture. Yeah. Dad handed me the Polaroid, and I snapped a picture of the stone, pulled out the film, and waited what I thought was a minute. Opened it up and had an underdeveloped mess. Yeah. My impatience got the best of me. And fortunately, my dad gave me another choice, another chance. Yeah. Took the picture again, pulled out the film, and my dad goes, "Hold it. Wait till I tell you." And I waited, and I waited. It seemed like about 10 minutes, but it was about a minute. Opened it up. Oh, beautiful. Perfect picture. And you know what? I don't remember the name, but it was a great picture. I used that old Polaroid for a couple more years until my dad got the newfangled Polaroid. You know, the one that ejected the film and it developed right in front of you. Oh man, that was really cool. It was fun to use. I continued going to the cemetery with my dad when I wasn't at camp or in Israel until I graduated from high school. It ended on one non-cemetery Sunday when I was going by Hillcrest Playground. There I saw a softball game going on. It was a weekly Hungry Minds softball game that was put together by a guy named Dave Unowski. I was watching when Dave asked me if I wanted to play. I did, and I kept playing every week for the next 10 years. My dad was disappointed that we wouldn't go to the cemetery with him anymore, but I still had dinner with him. My sister took up the mantle of assistant for the next few years until she turned 18. Then my dad sold the company, but he kept selling for the company that bought Aaron Monument. But it just didn't seem the same to him not having his kids with him when he went to the cemetery. I now spend more time with my dad now than I ever did when I was a kid. But I will always remember going to the cemetery with Dad.